Hey, welcome to the episode of the Brad Davidson podcast. Today, I want to talk about two different topics. One, both very personal to me, but one, man, I've been in a bout of struggle, and they've come and gone over the last, 7 years now. I've been building myself back, kind of rebuilding my life. I just want to share with you what I'm dealing with and how I'm dealing with it. In hopes that maybe if you find yourself in a spot like that where things aren't going well, you're down, you're out, how I've pulled myself out of those situations over time. And I'm in the middle of it right now. And I've learned it over the years, the best way to do it, how to catch myself when I'm there, and then what strategies to start implementing to build myself back out. And I want to talk a little bit about my kids as a father. And my kids are really into sports and how I handle that. Because the things I see around extracurricular activities does not have to be sport. It could be a lot of different things, but I'm just going to talk about sport and what I'm watching and witnessing because that's what my kids are into. But I want to start with this reality of where my life is right now. Last couple of months have been really rough. Things just have not been working out. Everything I try implementing is not working. I have a couple new projects I'm working on that are just not going well. And it's really hard to stay in a good place. And I caught myself over the last week just kind of bottoming out. And what I recognize about myself, and I think a lot of you might connect with this, is that I'm kind of used to living in chaos. I spent so many years in just this constant state of chaos, not knowing what the day was going to bring, that I'm honestly comfortable in a fight or flight state. And I have a really hard time when things start calming down and I find myself out of that state. And what happens with me is I'll work really hard and I'll get myself to kind of a peaceful state where things are smooth, they're going well, there's not a lot of hiccups, and I'm feeling really good. I'm sleeping well, I'm having great energy, I'm consistently working out, I'm eating well, I'm doing all the right things. And when I start to do that, I'll be honest with you, when I start to consistently do that, things start to go well. But things also start to calm down. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that that's when I kind of start to struggle. And what I do is silly is I start taking on more. I actually start creating what I've recognized in my patterns. I start to create the chaos. Instead of just being in a good state where I'm taking great care of myself and I'm handling it well, I'm recovering well, and I'm stable, I got to up the ante. Then I start doing too much. And once I get to a volume of load where I'm doing too much, I'm seeing too many clients, working too aggressive in my projects, get my kids to all their stuff. It's just this go, 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 go. My positive habits start to dwindle. I start doing silly things like I stop eating as much. I'll stop giving up my time periods that are meant for a meal to see another client or to jump on email or to take care of things, to start hitting my to-do list versus stopping and having the meal to help sustain my energy. And when I do that, my energy starts to suffer. And then my solution to that is I'll start doing more caffeine. And before I know it, I'm having like 2 cups of coffee and an energy drink every day. And my energy starts to get real low and I go all day without eating. I'll stop and get a candy bar and an energy drink to bring me back up. That energy is not good energy, but I'm still pushing myself hard. I'm still getting my workouts in. I'm still doing all the things. I just stopped doing the things to get back to me. And then how the process goes, I start wearing out. Fatigue starts to win. And I know this is the biggest enemy to high performers is fatigue. But in my head, I think I got to just work through this. And then as the fatigue kicks in over time, it's really sad, but I start to get really, really negative. I really start beating myself up. All I can see is all the negative going on. I start expecting negative. It starts wearing on me. And then my anxiety starts to creep in. And then after a period of that, it's all of a sudden I start to get depressed. I have a really hard time motivating myself. I have a really hard time getting out of bed. I come home in the afternoons after work, and instead of running outside and playing with my kids, I need to take a nap. And the last week, every time I'd lay down for a quick 20-minute time to rest my eyes, I'll sleep like 2 hours. And then I start beating myself over that. I remember a couple years ago, when my son was little, he watched this YouTube video. And the YouTube video was about these people had 24 hours to live. It was made up and they could do whatever they wanted. And it was kind of cool to watch the things they chose to do. And my little boy looked at me and he said, Dad, if you had 24 hours left to live, what would you do? And I said, gosh, son, I don't really know. I need to think about that. And he says, I know one thing you would do. I said, what's that, buddy? He said, take a nap. I was like, what? If I had 24 hours left to live, I'd take a nap. He goes, well, yeah, you do it every day. So I figured it must be really important to you. And that, I hate that. I hate that I push myself to that point to where I'm so wore out, I'm so down, I'm so beat up, I'm so stressed out that he recognizes that as that's something that I do every day and something that's really important to me, because it's really not. It's a sign that I'm in a bad place and I'm there. And man, my outlook on life, everything's just so negative. And I'm just attracting, right? Negative attracts negative. So I'm just attracting the shit. And so here's my system to break that, because I recognize that I'm there. And I recognize this week that I'd hit it in a really bad spot. I took Friday completely off. And what I started out with, I took a journal out and I just wrote all the crazy bad thoughts that are in my head. Because my anxiety was high. Everything was just wigging out inside of my head. And I just wrote. It was the craziest stuff coming out of my head. But I wrote it all down. Instead of spinning on it, I just wrote it all down. A page and a half of just pure craziness. And I crumpled it up and I threw it away. And then I just took the day to myself. I went out to Marietta Hot Springs. I sat in the geothermal pools. I did some contrast therapy, back and forth. Just focused on relaxing myself, relaxing my mind. I didn't look at any work. I didn't do anything. I just broke from it all. And just spent the whole day giving back to myself, regenerating my energy. I did that for the day. And then today I woke up. I actually slept great last night for the first time in I don't know how long. I woke up with great energy. I actually only had 1 cup of coffee today. That's the other thing. I'm just going to start cutting back on my caffeine. Had no candy bars. There's a few things in my non-negotiables. And what happens is those non-negotiables, my non-negotiables are alcohol, candy bars, and energy drinks. When I'm doing really well, my non-negotiables are out. But I caught myself. I had a drink the other night. I don't do that, but I was in such a high stress state. I had a drink. It's the third one I've had in 10 months. And what's funny is it makes it worse. I have the drink. I wake up the next day. My anxiety is even worse. And then later that day, it dips into depression just from one. So I jumped back on my non-negotiables. Alcohol, I just realized I just can't have it. It has such a massive impact on me. Even one cocktail, there's no fun to it. It doesn't calm me down. It just lights up my anxiety and then leads to a depressed state. So that's out. My energy drinks are out. And my candy bars are out. Like my 3 non-negotiables, those are back. I just made a commitment. I know that I can get those out. Those are going out. When I woke up this morning, I just took some time and looked at my situation. I took a break from it and I looked at my whole situation, all the things that are driving me nuts that I'm wigging out over, that aren't going well. And I just looked at it from an open mind. And I started picking away at like, okay, what are the things I really want to focus on? What are the things I need to get rid of? What are the things that I'm wasting my time with? What are the things that are working well? What are the solutions I can come up? Here's all the problems that I'm seeing. And I just started attacking them. Not attacking them, that's a bad choice of words. But I just allow myself in a rested state to look at them and find some reality around what's really going on and what are the solutions I need to apply. I find it to work really well. I also woke up this morning early and I watched a really motivating movie. It's a movie. I always like to watch the movies of people that are down and out and have a comeback. I can't remember the name of the movie. I found it on Netflix on accident. It's about a wrestler who grew up in the small town of Washington. Is this dominating wrestler, wins an Olympic medal, and then has it stripped away from him because he got caught doing steroids. And now the whole town just shames him. He hid from the town and he had to come back in and just kind of face it and deal with it. And then he became the coach of the wrestling team. It's a great story. It's a really good movie. It literally made me cry. It was so good. But I needed it because I got something from it. He said in there, he was telling this young kid that he was coaching, who was going to the state championship as a wrestler. This little kid had a really rough life. He said, life is all about hard times. He said, but allowing life to break you is a choice. And I needed to hear that. Life is going to have hard times, but allowing it to break you is a choice. And I needed to hear that. So I watched that, and then I went through my whole process of looking at my whole situation, all the things that were bothering me that I've been starting to avoid a little bit. It's nothing I'll do when I start getting down and out or anxious. I'll just start to avoid things. I'll ignore them. I won't look at them. I want them to go away, and they won't. They just get more and more bigger and bigger, basically. Start barking at me louder and louder. So I just looked at it all. And in that state of I'm rested, my non-negotiables are out, I watched an inspiring movie of someone who had the strength to keep going and overcome. It allowed me to look at it from a healthy state versus an unhealthy state. And today has been a much better day because as I started looking at it in a healthy state, some good ideas, some solutions. Oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. Started coming back to me. I can feel myself being empowered by it. So if you're in a rough spot, things aren't going well, life's against you, it's beating you up. Remember, you have a choice. Don't let it break you. That is a choice. And I really, really believe that. Because years ago, I made the choice to let it break me. And nothing went away. It only got worse and worse and worse. At some point, you got to make the choice to face it and fight it. So I was back in that state today. I made the choice. I'm not going to let this break me. So I started to face it. And I know what to do moving forward. I have to every day keep my 3 non-negotiables out and start making good choices for my energy day in and day out. Get my exercise back up. Stop avoiding my feeding times. Like, stop giving those up. Those are super important because when I eat, I have more stable energy and my mental state is much better. And I start doing those things and I know that I can beat this. So if you're in that state, just take a break, walk away from it, go do something that's good for yourself. Go recharge, go rest and recharge for a day. I call it an ER recovery day is what I joke around with my clients. I just walked away from everything, took a break and recharged. And then watch an inspiring movie. There's a million of them out there. And I know you know the ones that connect with you, that inspire you. Watch one of those movies. Get yourself in a good place. Write down all the shit that's going on in your head, all the crazy thoughts you're having. Just write it all down and toss it. Just get it out of your head and throw it away. And then look at things from a healthy perspective. And then every day moving forward, just even if it's just one thing that you're going to do every day that is good for you versus sucking away from you. And you can start to build on that, and that will give you a better trajectory over time. I just found this simple process to really, really help when life has me down. And all the movies make it look like you go through this rough time and then boom, you have the strength to overcome it. Bam, life gets amazing. It is a rocky, rough road coming back from the bottom. It is rocky as hell. And it's really easy to dip back down and fall back into your bad habits and those things just suck you down and take life out of you. So you got to be aware of it and have some compassion for yourself. I'm not beating myself up because I went there. I know it's part of my process. I see the patterns. So I know I'm there and I can see the choices I made that led me there. And those little ones. Now I know the choices I got to start making to pull myself back up. So I hope that inspires and helps you a little bit. If you find yourself in one of those bottoms of life, those dark places where just everything sucks, the desire to get out of bed sucks, all you can think about is, great, what's coming at me today? It just starts to spiral. You got to take action to stop the spiral. The second thing I want to talk about today is my children, as a father, as a parent, and specifically around extracurricular activities. I've been in the world of sports now for a number of years, but it's so different being in the world of sports with my own children. And you really start to see how people are with children, especially younger children in sports. The pressure, the parental ego on how the kids are doing. These poor children are under a lot of heat. And I feel for them. You know, you read the studies, I believe it's like 70% of all children quit sports by the age of 9 or 10. And I get it. I'm watching, I'm witnessing how hard it is on them. And so I just want to share with you what I see and how I'm choosing to address this with my children. First off, I assist and help coach with some of my kids' sports, but I like to be the father, the fan, more than I like to be the coach. I do not want my children's sporting careers to be impacting our relationship as father-child. So I really try to stand back and be more of the fan than the coach. I really love to find great people to put around my children to coach them so I can be the fan that just loves to watch them play and supports them and inspires them. There's some situations where I will be an assistant coach. But again, even in that scenario, I'm really focused on letting other coaches coach my kid versus me coming down hard on him and being extra rough on him. The only time I will be rough on him is when I see there's a choice to not give full effort. It's the only time I've ever come down on him. I don't come down on him for making poor plays. I don't come down on him if things don't go his way. I don't come down on him for making mistakes. But the one time I did come down on him, he was choosing not to give his best effort, and I saw it. And so, and I come down hard on him. I just had a direct conversation with him that I saw him not giving his best effort. He knows that's super important to me. And if he's unwilling to give his best effort, we need to tell the head coach he's unwilling to give his best effort. He needs to sit down and not play anymore. I said, because that's not how we approach life in general, is not giving our best effort. Because I know when you get in those patterns of not giving your best effort, I just explained one of mine to you, what happens. And I want to start early with my children on, no, effort matters most. So I always teach my kids there's 3 things you can control. I learned this from a gentleman who was a sports performance psychologist for the Navy SEALs and the LA Dodgers. Dr. Potterat is his name. He's like, really, there's only 3 things you control: your attitude, your effort, and your behaviors. Everything outside of that is all noise that doesn't matter. So we spend a lot of time focusing on their effort. I reward effort. I don't reward outcome. Because I want my children to have the growth mindset. Carolyn Dweck, I think is her name, has a book on mindset, talks all about that. I praise effort. I do not praise outcome with my children specifically, because I want them to be in a growth mindset. I see through coaching and through watching my kids play, I see a lot of parents with young kids saying some horrific things to their children, like just destroying them for mistakes. I see coaches that are so hard on their children, using styles of leadership that won't work for anyone. I'm sorry, but if I work for someone who's my leader and they scream and yell and intimidate, I'm not going to perform great under that scenario. That's going to cause me to crumble. It's going to cause me to hate that leader. I'm not going to buy into that leader. I'm not going to do shit for that leader. I'm going to find somewhere else to go is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to give my best efforts. But I see so many parents and so many coaches coming down so effing hard on their children for mistakes. And they're like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Like they don't even understand the game fully. They don't have the skill set developed yet to be great at these sports. Yet they're expected to be insanely great at such young ages. And it's not fair. It affects, number one, the attitude. I see when kids have fun and they fall in love with the sport they're playing, that's when you see the magic in their eyes. That's when you see the love in their eyes. They're doing it because they love it. And I play sports at a high level, and I talk to professional athletes over them all the time. The most important thing when kids are little is to develop a love and a passion for it. Because when you get to a certain point, it's now a job, and it is not very much fun. Once you get to college, it is a job, and it's not very much fun. You go past it into Olympic sports and professional sports, there's a ton of pressure. And what Dr. Potterat talks about is that state when there's all the pressure, the whole world's coming at you, things aren't going well. You know what he has them connect to? The original love, the original reason why they do what they do. And it's always about the fun they used to have, the love they had of the sport. And it changes everything. So that should be so focused on being established when they're young. I feel very lucky. And I've been very diligent about who I've allowed to coach my children. And I surrounded my kids with some great coaches. Now, some parents looking in may disagree with that, but they're not in the nitty gritty of it with the coaches surrounding my children. They can look like they're coming down hard, but if you pay attention to the conversations that they're having with the kids, it is not about being perfect. The conversations they're having is they're coaching them. They're helping them to get better. They're having conversations with them about effort, about leadership, right? About how you show up, about how you recover from when you make a mistake. It's beautiful. My son plays for this team of these coaches, Coach B, Coach AD, Junior. There's just a slew of them. And I feel really lucky. And my son has been involved in a scenario where these men have come in. They expect effort every time. Like if you're not going hard, they're going to call you out on it. They want effort. They coach the kids incredibly well. You know what? And when a kid screws up or does something wrong, they build them back up. I've heard every single coach tell them they love my son. I've heard all of them say to my son, hey man, I love you. I want to see the best for you. And I see the reaction my son has to that is this little boy would run through any wall for these men. If they said, you got to go run through that wall to be great, he'll go do it because he has so much trust, belief, and faith that they have his back. He'll do that. It's beautiful. But then I watch these teams we play and the coaches and the parents of these players and how horrific it is. I mean, it's horrific what I see these little kids go through when they make a mistake. I don't want that for any child. It's hard to watch. My daughter in volleyball, she started volleyball super late. She didn't pick up a volleyball for the first time. She was in 8th grade. She's a sophomore now. She's been playing volleyball for 2 years. And she's had some rough goes. She had a coach that I couldn't stand. Just motherfucked her all the time. The point other parents would be like, "Guy, so hard on your daughter." And there were nights she'd come home just crying and wanting to give up, but she loved this sport so much. And that was really hard on me. But there was an opportunity as a father where I got to be the cheerleader and support the growth of it. And I helped her come up with solutions on, one, how to deal with someone like that. And this reality that every once in a while you're going to come across a leader like that. And you have to have a skill set to deal with it. And it was the hardest season of her life. But I watched her develop a thick skin against this man and was able to just let it roll off her back by the end of the season. And then I found a great coach that I really loved. This coach of hers now was actually, I trained her when she was in college, and she's a tough coach. But she loves on my daughter. And because my daughter had the experience with a really bad coach, she understands, no, this coach is tough, but this coach cares about me. Like this coach not too long ago sat her down because my daughter got moved up. She's 15, got moved up to a 17U team and was honestly overwhelmed. She felt like she didn't belong there. She felt like she was out of place. She felt like she wasn't good enough because she was so much younger than everyone. And the coach took the time to sit her down, just the two of them, and have a full conversation about what it was going to take for Isabel to make it. And one of the big conversations she had was how to be a leader and how age doesn't matter about leading. And I watched my little girl after that conversation. I did not know that it happened. But the next day of the tournament she played in, this little girl just bloomed. She came out as a leader, as an energy, the heartbeat of the team, just cranking. It was beautiful. And I asked her after what changed? And it was the coach taking the time. She could have very easily dismissed her and said, you can't handle this, you're out. She took the time to show her, to tell her what she saw in her, what her expectations were of her, and how she needed to show up at any age. And it connected the dots. Like, when you move on to college, you're going to be the young one. You're not the tallest one out there. So you got to overcome with other factors. And it was beautiful. And I was so appreciative to have someone care about my child so much that they would take the time to do that. So if you're a coach, I hope you hear this. This is from a parent standpoint, watching coaches coach children. Coach them. If you're going to be hard on them, be hard on them for the right things. Everybody makes mistakes in sports. Everybody. At any level. So to have an expectation on a 7, 8, 9, 10, 15-year-old child that they'll never make a mistake is ludicrous. Because the best athletes in every sport make mistakes. So much of sport is about making a mistake and overcoming the mistake. So if you're a coach, understand that. There's an opportunity and a kid makes a mistake, instill belief, coach them, teach them what they did wrong, how to do it better, and then instill belief in them that you believe they'll overcome that. So I think a great coach helps an athlete or anybody, it could be a musician, singing, art. You help them overcome the mistake. You coach them up on how to be better, how to do it next time. And you instill belief in them they can handle it next time. And you know what? If they're not putting the effort in, that's when you can come down on them. If their attitude's checked out, they're being a shitty teammate, or they're having poor attitude, or not having fun, it's those things that you can really coach up to change. But stop. I don't even know how to put it. Stop motherfucking our kids. I can't stand watching these grown men with little children calling them horrible names for making mistakes. screaming at them, using every foul language word in the book because a little kid made a mistake. You're going to ruin that kid, not make him better. You got to create growth mindsets in these children, not this world of perfection. You got to focus on growth, not outcome. If you focus on outcome only, two mistakes: tell them how shitty they are all the time, or tell them how great they are all the time. If you focus on those two things, you're creating a limited outcome for that person. So coach them, love them, focus on effort, focus on attitude, focus on behaviors or actions. Teach them those. And then when they make mistakes, teach them how to overcome them. Teach them how to put them on the back burner and how to overcome them and instill greatness in themselves, because that is what they're going to need. At 48 years old, I need that right now. I screwed up. I made some bad choices. I started spiraling down. I needed the tools and the abilities that I learned when I was younger in sports to overcome those mistakes. I got lucky. A lot of my coaches growing up were great men. My dad never coached me. He always made sure I was being coached by great people. And I'm so thankful for that, because it's that simple understanding and that growth that I had when I was a kid on how to deal with tough times. I had a hard time with that, and I still do. When I make a mistake, I have a hard time. I can beat the hell out of myself for it. And most of us can do that really well. I had a really hard time bringing myself out of those scenarios, but I've learned tools. And because of my past, I know that I can fight through them. And I have the willingness, the drive, and the attitude to fight. I'm not looking at my kids to be college athletes, pro. I don't have those dreams for them. I haven't been at that level. It's not a dream in my world. It's a nightmare. But that's their goals and their dreams right now. So I'm supporting that. But I'm supporting it in a way of, I want them to be great human beings that can handle this thing called life that sucks so much and is so damn hard. And sport, art, music, any type of extracurricular activity that takes effort, that takes consistent effort in honing your skills, is such a great realm to teach children how to handle life when they're my age, even when they're younger. So I hope this message resonates for a few of you. A little unsure about if I want to talk about it, but it's what's been on my heart all week. Is the thing I felt like I needed to talk about as I was watching my children. My son broke his arm 3 weeks ago. So it pulled him out of the thing he loved the most. So we've been dealing with that. And I've been helping him through that. And gosh, his coach AD last night did a great thing. Again, focusing on the important things. My son has not missed a practice, has not missed a game. He's been there. He's driving him nuts. He can't play, but he's there. And Coach AD, just in front of all of the boys, called him out and showed, hey, this is a sign of a great leader, someone who, even though he can't be here, he very easily be checked out, sitting at home playing video games, doing other things, but he shows up to watch and support his teammates. These coaches are so good about commenting and seeing the things that are important in these children's lives to help them become better people over time. So I'm just hoping sharing the stuff with you. If you're in my state, it can help. If you're a parent, if you're a coach, I hope that some of these messages that I shared with you resonated, because I really, my heart breaks for so many of these children I've been watching over the last few years and all these different sports I've been a part of, the pressure that they're under and the fear I see in their eyes of not wanting to screw up. No one can be successful when the sole reason they're doing something is the fear of not screwing up. We all know that. If you live life or perform in anything you're doing with a fear of just don't screw up, you're going to screw up. So there's my 2 cents on a couple things in life. Hope you guys are all having a great week. And next week, I'm pretty excited. I'm going to have a guest on, Raquel Perry. We're going to talk a lot of things around the world of fitness. I've known her for years. She's been in the industry for years. She has a phenomenal perspective on the industry and in regards to fitness and nutrition. So I'm really excited to chat with her and hear her stories and her thoughts and her beliefs and share those with you. All right? Take care.